This is a video for homework 7, problem 3, where we're basically finding the least squares regression line and all of the parameters surrounding it. So I already have all the answers showing here. I just want to show you how all of these are found. So first things first, you want to open up your data in StatCrunch. You press this little box here and click open in StatCrunch. Now where all of those values came from is we want to first find the least squares regression line for this data. So we'll go to Stat, Regression, Simple Linear. And then we can choose our X variable and our Y variable. Now you notice here later in the problem you're going to have to go ahead and do a hypothesis test where H naught is that B sub 1 is 0 versus B sub 1 being not equal to 0. So you can just make sure that that's set up appropriately, which I believe that it is for both of these, and just make sure that this not equal sign hasn't been changed. And then click compute. So this is going to get us all of our values here. So if you look, the first thing that we needed was B sub naught and B sub 1, and that's what we're finding here is our least squares regression line. So looking here, they've rounded to 3 decimal places. Just be careful when you round. Sometimes rounding can be a little difficult, and if you don't round it perfectly, it's going to mark you wrong. So rounding to 3 decimal places, you can see here they put negative 2.663 for B naught, right? So here we have negative 2.66, and they're rounding this 2 to a 3 because the 7 is right next to it. And then B sub 1 is your slope, so that's the number here. So if I'm rounding to 3 decimal places, again, here I am at 3 at the 1, and then I go look to the right, and it's a 6. I'm going to round that to a 2. So they've rounded this value to 2.012. Now the standard error for the point estimate of sigma, so see here S sub E is standard error, they're getting the 1.3163. Where you find that is right here. So estimate of standard error, standard deviation, right? And that's where you find that number. Now the next value you had to find was at the standard error of B sub 1, right? Which is your slope. So we're saying, okay, what's the standard deviation of the slope here? So we're going to look, and they got 0.317. And as you can see, if I look at my slope, the standard error is 0.317. It's right over here. So that's where you'll find that number. Now the last thing is from the hypothesis test. So here we need the p-value, and they're getting 0.008. So if you look down at this bottom table, right, this is the p-value for the hypothesis test, the analysis of variance here. So they're rounding it to 3 decimal places. That's why they round that 7 to an 8. And that's where you find all of your values. So I hope that helps you out. And if you have any more questions on this one, just let me know.